The rain poured gently against the window, and inside a modest little house, the sound of tiny paws echoed on the wooden floor. Endou, a small golden Labrador puppy, stumbled across the room, his legs still unsteady but full of curiosity. His soft, fluffy fur glowed in the dim sunlight peeking through the curtains. From the moment he was born, there was something special about him. He wasn't just another puppy in a litter. His gaze was intense yet kind, his eyes filled with a wisdom beyond his age. From the start, it was clear that Endou was no ordinary dog. He had a presence about him, an awareness that his life would be different from other dogs. While his siblings chased each other and playfully tugged on each other's ears, Endou observed. It was as if he was waiting for something bigger. The owner of the litter often said, "This one's got the heart of a lion, I can tell." As the days passed, Endou's training began. Unlike his playful siblings, he showed patience, focus, and determination. Instead of getting distracted by a bouncing ball, he listened intently to his trainer's voice. His ability to understand commands was remarkable, and soon his future as an assistance dog was sealed. His new destiny was clear. He was going to change someone's life. It wasn't long before Endou met Alan Parton, a retired war veteran. Alan had seen the harshness of battle, and his injuries had left him with both physical and emotional scars. Simple daily tasks had become monumental challenges. But everything changed the day Endou came into his life. From the moment they met, it was as if fate had brought them together. At first, Alan wasn't sure what to expect. Having lost his independence, he doubted whether any dog could truly help him. But Endou quickly proved him wrong. Within days, the Golden Labrador showed Alan that life didn't have to be so difficult. He learned how to fetch Alan's keys, bring him the TV remote, and even retrieve items from the grocery store shelves. It wasn't just about physical tasks. Endou also provided emotional support. Alan often spoke to Endou as if he were a person, and in response, Endou would tilt his head, listening closely as if he understood every word. The connection between Alan and Endou grew stronger each day. Alan no longer felt alone. Endou became his closest friend, his protector, and his source of hope. The two were inseparable, and their relationship became the talk of the neighborhood. "That dog understands him better than people do," said one of the neighbors, watching the two of them walk side by side on their daily stroll. Life was finally starting to feel normal for Alan. With Endou by his side, he regained a sense of independence and joy. But fate had another test in store for them. One day, as they were walking home from the park, a car came speeding down the street. The driver, distracted by his phone, didn't notice Alan crossing the road. Everything happened in an instant. The screech of tires, the blaring horn, the sudden thud. Alan lay motionless on the ground. His head had hit the pavement and he was unconscious. People stood by, frozen in shock, unsure of what to do. But not Endou. With unwavering determination, the Golden Labrador took charge. His heart pounded in his chest, but he didn't hesitate for a moment. Barking as loud as he could, Endou darted from person to person, tugging at their clothes, trying to get their attention. People tried to shoo him away, but Endou refused to leave. His eyes burned with urgency. "Look! Look over there!" he seemed to say with every bark. Finally, a man passing by noticed. "Hey, that dog is trying to show us something," he said, rushing toward where Endou was standing. Others followed. When they reached the scene, they saw Alan lying unconscious on the pavement. A woman immediately called for an ambulance while two men checked Alan's pulse. Endou sat at his owner's side, refusing to move. His eyes stayed locked on Alan, and his ears twitched with every small sound. He was waiting, hoping and praying that his human would wake up. The ambulance arrived and paramedics rushed to Alan's side. As they placed him on a stretcher, Endou tried to follow, but one of the medics gently stopped him. "You can't come with us, buddy," she said softly. But Endou wouldn't listen. He barked and tugged at the paramedic's uniform, his eyes filled with desperation. "Let him come," said one of the men who had helped earlier. "That dog's the reason we're even here. He's not going anywhere." The paramedic nodded, and they allowed Endou to hop into the ambulance, sitting by Alan's side. At the hospital, Endou waited patiently by the door of the emergency room, his nose pressed against the glass. Doctors and nurses watched him with a mix of surprise and admiration. Some knelt to pet him, whispering, "Good boy, you did good." But Endou didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the room where Alan was being treated. Hours passed, but he never moved from his spot. The next morning, Alan finally woke up. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was Endou, his loyal friend, sitting by his bed. The nurse said, "This dog didn't leave your side all night. I think he loves you more than you know." Alan's eyes filled with tears. He reached out and stroked Endou's head. "You saved me, didn't you, boy?" Endou's tail wagged gently, his golden eyes staring back with nothing but love. From that moment on, Alan understood something he had always known deep down. Endou wasn't just a dog, he was family. In the following weeks, news of Endou's heroism spread like wildfire. The local newspaper called him the hero dog who wouldn't leave. The story of how Endou saved his owner inspired thousands of people. Letters poured in from strangers across the country, thanking Alan and Endou for showing them the power of love and loyalty. Years passed, but the story of Endou continued to touch the hearts of those who heard it. People often visited Alan to meet Endou in person. Children would sit in awe, listening as Alan retold the story of the day Endou became a hero. But over time, Endou grew older. His movements slowed, his playful energy faded, and his eyes grew heavier with each passing day. One night, as Alan sat by the fire, Endou rested his head on Alan's lap. His breathing was slow, calm, and peaceful. Alan ran his fingers through his old friend's golden fur. "You've done enough, buddy," Alan whispered. "You've done more than enough." The next morning, Endou didn't wake up. His passing was quiet, peaceful, and filled with love. Alan buried him under the old oak tree in his backyard, marking the spot with a small stone that read, "Endou forever loved, never forgotten." The years rolled by, but Endou's story never faded. People from the community gathered every year on the anniversary of the day he saved Alan's life. They told the story to their children, hoping to teach them about loyalty, courage, and love. Alan would often stand by the oak tree where Endou was buried. "You're still with me, old friend," he would say softly. He could still feel Endou's presence. Every time the leaves rustled in the wind, he'd smile and whisper, "I know you're watching, boy." Endou's legacy wasn't just about the day he saved Alan. It was about every little thing he did every day, every moment of love, every act of kindness, and every silent reminder that sometimes heroes walk on four legs. If you ever find yourself in doubt about the power of love, just remember Endou. He wasn't just a dog. He was a reminder that love, loyalty, and courage can change lives forever. This story is a tribute to every dog who has stood by their human in moments of darkness. Their love is pure, their courage is unmatched, and their loyalty is unwavering. If Endou's story touched you, consider sharing it with others. Because somewhere out there, another Endou is watching, waiting, and ready to be someone's hero.